Your mango tree is dying right now, and you probably don't even know it. Those droopy leaves you keep ignoring, that's not thirst, that's not heat, that's your tree sending you a warning before it's too late. And the fix most people try first is actually the exact thing making it worse. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this is happening and how to fix it fast. But first, hit that subscribe button, because I share simple, proven mango growing tips every single week, and you don't want to miss the next one. Let me show you something real quick. A few months ago, I had a mango tree that looked almost dead. The leaves were drooping so badly, it looked like someone forgot to water it for a month. The branches were soft. The whole tree looked tired and sad, the kind of sad that makes you want to just give up and pull it out of the ground. I almost did. But instead, I used the exact steps I'm about to share with you, and within 3 weeks, that same tree stood tall again. The leaves turned dark green, new growth popped out everywhere, and a few months later, it was loaded with mango blossoms and eventually real fruit hanging from the branches. This works, and it's simpler than you think. No fancy tools, no expensive products, just understanding what the tree actually needs. Now let's talk about what's probably happening to you right now. You wake up one morning, walk out to check your mango tree, and something feels off. The leaves are hanging down instead of standing up straight. They look soft, almost lifeless, like all the energy has drained right out of them overnight. Maybe some are turning yellow or brown at the edges. You panic a little. You water it more, thinking that will help, because that's what everyone tells you to do when a plant looks sad. A few days pass and it looks even worse. Now you're really worried. Maybe you start searching online, trying different things, and nothing seems to work. Sound familiar? This is one of the most common problems mango growers face. And honestly, most people make it worse before they make it better, simply because they don't understand what's really going on underneath the soil, where you can't even see it happening. Here's what actually happens, and once you see it this way, you'll never look at a droopy mango tree the same way again. A drooping mango tree is not usually about the leaves. The leaves are just showing you a symptom. Kind of like a fever is just a symptom of something else going on inside the body. The real problem is almost always happening below the ground, in the root system, or it's connected to how the tree is handling water and nutrients. Think of your mango tree like a straw. The roots pull up water, and that water travels all the way up through the trunk into the branches and leaves. If something blocks that straw, or if there's too much water sitting around the roots, or too little, the leaves will droop because they're not getting what they need. Most people don't realize that overwatering causes the exact same droopy look as underwatering. That's why so many people get confused and end up making the wrong fix. When roots sit in soggy, waterlogged soil for too long, they can't breathe. Roots need oxygen just like the rest of the plant. If the soil stays wet all the time, the roots start to rot, and rotting roots cannot pull up water anymore, even if there's plenty of water in the ground. So the tree droops, not because it's thirsty, but because its own root system is drowning and shutting down. On the other hand, if the soil is bone dry for too long, the roots dry out and shrink back, and they simply can't reach enough water to keep the leaves firm. This is the real reason your tree can look thirsty even right after you watered it, or look overwatered even when you haven't touched the hose in days. Two completely opposite problems, and they end up looking almost exactly the same on the outside. That's what trips up so many gardeners. You see droopy leaves, you assume thirst, you grab the hose, and if the real problem was too much water in the first place, you just made it worse without even knowing it. There are other causes too, and it helps to know them so you're not caught off guard. Sometimes it's heat stress, especially during long dry spells with strong, direct sun beating down day after day. The tree is losing water through its leaves faster than the roots can pull it back up, so the leaves droop as a kind of defense, trying to save moisture. Sometimes it's a nutrient problem, where the tree doesn't have enough of what it needs to keep its cells firm and healthy, so the leaves lose their strength and start to sag. And sometimes, especially with younger trees, it's simple transplant shock after moving the tree to a new spot or a new pot. The roots haven't settled in yet, so the tree struggles to pull up enough water while it adjusts to its new home. Even something as small as a sudden temperature drop, strong winds drying out the leaves, or a pot that's simply too small for the size of the tree can trigger the same drooping response. Whatever the exact cause, the fix always starts in the same place, and that's exactly what we're going to walk through right now, step by step, so you know precisely what to check and what to do. The first step is to stop and actually check the soil before you do anything else. This sounds too simple, but it's the step almost everyone skips because most people jump straight into action without ever confirming what the tree actually needs. Push your finger about 2 inches down into the soil near the base of the tree. If it feels wet or muddy, your tree likely has too much water sitting around the roots. If it feels dry and crumbly, your tree is probably thirsty. This one simple check tells you which direction to go, and it takes less than 10 seconds. Don't guess, don't assume, just check every single time before you reach for the watering can or decide to hold off, because that 10-second habit alone will prevent most of the mistakes we're about to talk about later in this video. If you have a moisture meter lying around from other houseplants, that works too, but honestly, your finger is just as reliable and it costs nothing. The second step is fixing the drainage if the soil feels wet or soggy. Mango trees hate wet feet. Their roots need soil that drains well, not soil that holds water like a sponge. If you're growing your tree in a pot, make sure there are drainage holes at the bottom, and make sure those holes aren't blocked by compacted soil, roots, or debris. Sometimes lifting the pot slightly off the ground with small feet or blocks can help excess water escape more freely instead of pooling underneath. If you're growing in the ground and the area holds water after rain, you may need to build up the soil into a raised mound or a raised bed so extra water can drain away from the roots instead of sitting around them. Mixing in coarse sand or organic matter can also loosen heavy, compacted soil so water moves through it instead of collecting on top. This single fix solves more drooping mango trees than almost anything else because it directly deals with the root rot problem we talked about earlier, and it keeps that problem from coming back again next time it rains heavily. The third step is adjusting how often you water, and this is where most people get it wrong. Instead of watering on a fixed schedule, like every single day no matter what, water based on what the soil is actually telling you. Deep, less frequent watering is almost always better than light, frequent watering. When you do water, water slowly and deeply so the moisture reaches the deeper roots, not just the surface. Then let the top few inches of soil dry out before watering again. This teaches the roots to grow deeper and stronger, which makes the whole tree more resilient against future stress. A tree with deep roots handles heat, wind, and dry spells far better than a tree with shallow, lazy roots. The fourth step is trimming away the damaged parts. If you notice branches or leaves that are clearly dead, mushy, blackened, or completely dried out, it's time to remove them. Use clean, sharp pruning tools and cut just above a healthy point on the branch, wiping your blade between cuts if you're moving from a clearly diseased area to a healthy one so you don't spread any problems around. This might feel scary, especially if a big part of the tree looks unhealthy, but removing dead or dying material actually helps the tree. It stops the tree from wasting energy trying to keep dead parts alive, and it redirects that energy toward healthy new growth. Think of it like this. A struggling tree only has so much energy to go around, kind of like a person recovering from being sick who only has so much strength for the day. If you let it keep feeding dead branches, there's less energy left for the parts that can actually recover. Removing that dead weight is one of the kindest things you can do for a struggling tree, even though it feels counterintuitive at first. The fifth step is checking and improving the nutrition in the soil. A mango tree that's stressed or recovering needs the right nutrients to bounce back, but it doesn't need to be overloaded with fertilizer right away. If the tree is currently drooping badly from overwatering or root stress, hold off on heavy fertilizing until the roots start to recover, because stressed roots can struggle to handle strong fertilizer, and adding more to an already overwhelmed system usually backfires. Once the tree starts showing small signs of improvement, like leaves that are less limp or new tiny buds forming, you can introduce a balanced fertilizer made for fruit trees, following the instructions on the package, rather than guessing at amounts. Mango trees especially benefit from potassium and micronutrients like magnesium and iron, which help leaves stay strong and green and support better overall structure. A light layer of compost worked gently into the topsoil around the base of the tree is also a safe, natural way to slowly feed the roots without shocking the tree, since compost releases nutrients gradually instead of all at once. The sixth step is protecting the tree from extreme heat and direct harsh sun during the recovery period. If your tree is already stressed, intense afternoon sun can push it even further into shock because it's already struggling to move enough water up through its system, and strong sun just increases how fast it loses that water through the leaves. You don't need anything fancy here. A simple shade cloth or even positioning a patio umbrella or a temporary cover to block the harshest midday sun for a week or two can make a real difference while the roots recover. If your tree is potted, you can also simply move it to a spot with gentler, filtered light for a little while. Once the tree looks stronger and the leaves start standing up again, you can slowly remove the shade so it gets used to full sun again, giving it a bit more direct light every few days instead of switching all at once. The seventh step is applying mulch around the base of the tree, but not directly touching the trunk. A layer of mulch, about 2 to 3 inches thick, helps the soil hold the right amount of moisture without staying soggy. It also keeps the soil temperature more stable, protects roots from extreme heat, and slowly breaks down to add nutrients back into the soil over time. Wood chips, straw, or shredded bark all work well for this. Just remember to leave a small gap between the mulch and the trunk itself, like a little donut hole around the base, because piling mulch directly against the trunk can trap moisture there and invite rot, fungus, and pests that you definitely don't want dealing with on top of everything else. The eighth step is being patient and giving the tree time to respond. This is the step most people fail at, even after doing everything else correctly. After doing all the right things, people expect the tree to bounce back in a day or two, and when it doesn't, they panic and start changing everything again, which confuses the tree even more and often undoes the progress that was already happening quietly underground. Real recovery usually takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks before you start seeing clear improvement, sometimes longer if the damage was serious or the tree is older and more established. During this time, keep checking the soil moisture, avoid overcorrecting, and simply let the tree do its work. Take a photo of your tree today, then check back in 10 days and compare. Small improvements are easy to miss day to day, but they become obvious when you compare across time. Trees are living things, and healing takes time, just like it does for us. Now let's talk about the common mistakes that keep people stuck in this frustrating cycle. Because knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. The biggest mistake is watering more the moment you see drooping leaves. This is almost always the wrong move if the soil is already wet, because you're adding more water to roots that are already struggling to breathe. This one mistake alone kills more mango trees than pests or disease combined, simply because it feels like the caring thing to do, when really it's suffocating the roots even further. The second mistake is cutting off watering completely out of fear once someone realizes overwatering might be the issue. This can just as easily push a tree from root rot straight into drought stress, creating a whole new problem on top of the first one. The goal is never to swing to the opposite extreme. The goal is balance, guided by what the soil is actually telling you each time you check it. The third mistake is fertilizing a stressed tree too heavily, thinking more nutrients will speed up recovery. In reality, this can burn already weakened roots and make things worse, kind of like trying to feed a sick person a huge heavy meal when their body simply isn't ready to handle it yet. Recovery needs to happen in the right order. The fourth mistake is ignoring the container or planting location entirely. If a pot has no drainage, or if a tree is planted in a low spot where water naturally collects after every rain, no amount of watering adjustments will fully fix the problem until that root issue is addressed. People often treat the symptom for weeks without ever noticing the actual setup is working against them the whole time. The fifth mistake is giving up too early. People see the tree still drooping after a few days, assume it's dead, and either stop caring for it or remove it completely, when in reality, it just needed more time to heal. Recovery is rarely instant, and expecting overnight results sets you up for disappointment even when you're doing everything right. The sixth mistake is moving the tree around too much while it's trying to recover, whether that means repotting it again, dragging it to a new spot every few days, or constantly disturbing the soil around the roots to check on it. Every time you disturb a stressed root system, you set the recovery clock back a little further. Once you've made the right changes, the best thing you can do is leave the tree alone and let it settle. Here's a bonus tip that experienced mango growers use, and most beginners have never even heard of it. Instead of only checking the surface soil, experienced growers check moisture deeper down, closer to where the main root system actually lives. You can do this simply by using a long wooden stick or a thin dowel, pushing it several inches into the soil near the tree, and pulling it out to see if it comes out clean and dry, slightly damp, or covered in wet mud. This gives you a much more accurate picture than just poking your finger an inch into the surface, because surface soil can look and feel completely different from what's happening deeper where the roots actually are. A garden can look bone dry on top after a hot day, while the deeper soil is still soaking wet from the week before, and that mismatch is exactly what confuses so many well-meaning growers. Many experienced growers also gently scratch a tiny bit of bark on a small branch to check what's underneath, using a fingernail or the edge of a clean tool. If it's green and moist, the branch is still alive and has a good chance of recovering. If it's brown and dry all the way through, that part of the tree is likely dead and can be pruned away without worry. This simple trick helps you know exactly what to save and what to cut, instead of guessing and either pruning away parts that were still alive or leaving dead wood on the tree that's just wasting space and inviting pests. One more thing experienced growers pay attention to is the overall shape and posture of the tree over time, not just a single day. Instead of judging the tree based on how it looks first thing in the morning or during the hottest part of the afternoon, they watch how it behaves across several days in a row. A tree that droops a little during peak afternoon heat but perks back up by evening is usually just fine. That's a normal response to sun and heat, not a sign of a serious problem. But a tree that stays droopy morning, noon, and night, day after day, is the one that actually needs attention. Learning to tell the difference between normal, daily drooping and true chronic drooping saves you from overreacting to something that was never really a problem in the first place. So here's the truth. A drooping mango tree looks scary, but it's rarely a death sentence. Most of the time, it's simply your tree telling you something about its roots, its water, or its environment. And once you know how to listen to that message, you're no longer guessing in the dark. Once you understand that the leaves are just messengers and the real story is happening underground, everything becomes so much easier to fix. Check your soil first. Fix the drainage if needed. Adjust your watering to be deep and less frequent. Remove the dead parts. Feed the tree gently once it starts stabilizing. Protect it from harsh extremes. Add a smart layer of mulch. And above all, give it time. These steps work no matter where you live, what climate you're growing in, or what kind of mango variety you have in your yard or on your patio, because they deal with the root cause, not just the symptoms sitting on the surface. The next time you see those leaves start to droop, you won't panic. You'll know exactly what to check first and exactly what steps to take in the right order without wasting time on fixes that don't actually solve the problem. That confidence alone is going to save you a lot of stress, and it's going to save a lot of trees too. If this video helped you understand what's really going on with your mango tree, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow so I can keep making videos like this one for you. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, because next week I'm covering another mango problem that catches almost every grower off guard, one that shows up right when you think your tree is finally doing great and you won't want to miss it. Drop a comment below and let me know how your mango tree is doing right now, what it looks like, what you've already tried, and I read every single one, and I'm happy to help if you're stuck. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.